lovelies, and welcome back to my channel. It's finally time for the House of Flame and Shadow vlog. I am so excited because I read House of Sky and Breath 2 years ago, but I have been waiting for this book because House of Sky and Breath ended in the worst cliffhanger like ever. I was so excited for this book that I drove all the way from New Jersey to Connecticut to go to a midnight release party with one of my friends from work. So talking about the book a little bit, like the actual physical book, it is so pretty. I love the colors, the gold and the black and the red. I love that it is solid black and that there's not like the line down here and then it's white with whatever color the book is on the side like the other two books are. Then I wanted to talk about this stunning artwork in the front on the end papers. It is so gorgeous. Obviously I have the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition, so I have the extra chapter with Bryce and Hunt, and my husband has the Walmart exclusive edition, so that has the extra chapter with Bryce, Nesta, and Asriel. I will most likely be reading all of them. I'm hoping to find them online. When we went to the event and actually bought the book in line, they told us we were one of the first 100 customers to buy the book in that store, so they gave us a cute little goodie bag. I'll show you what came in it. We've got this bookmark. I'm obsessed with the back. It says, "A world in darkness, a burning spark, a blaze of stars." Then they gave us a temporary tattoo, which I actually saw you can put temporary tattoos in the front of books, so I'm going to wind up doing that. Then they gave us a magnet of the book cover and a sticker of the book cover. At the actual event, they had trivia, they had a quiz to show you what house you were in. I got House of Sky and Breath. And then they also had a scavenger hunt where you had to run around the store and take pictures of different books that fit different scavenger hunt categories. The Starbucks cafe was open as well, and they did some really cute drinks for the event, and they had special names. And there was a board for predictions and theories, and there was a super cute cardboard cutout of the person on the front of the book. All in all, it was a really fun event, and it was my first ever midnight release party, so I had a great time. I would definitely do it again. Even though I did go buy the book in person, I'm going to be reading it on my Kindle because it's gigantic and I don't really feel like holding that book up while I'm reading. I like to lay down and read and kind of snuggle up and read, so I figured I would just read it on my Kindle, and my husband's reading it on the Kindle as well too, so. And then afterwards, I will take all of the highlights from my Kindle. I will go back into the physical book and I will annotate and highlight in there. I just finished reading a little bit more and I figured I'd talk about it with you guys thus far. I always love SJM's Third Person Limited, where she just switches between point of views throughout the entire chapters. I feel like this one's a lot easier than the first two to figure out who's talking. I'm really enjoying Lydia's point of view. Bryce is kind of not aggravating me, but I feel like she's being really reckless right now. Anything with Hunt and Rune in it is making me really sad. Obviously, my account is linked to my Goodreads, so everything that I highlight shows up in my Goodreads, so I figured I'd share some of my favorite scenes / quotes with you guys. My favorite part, it says 2% into the book, is when Bryce says she needs to be fueled up like a battery. When she brings up the vacuum again from the first book, that makes me laugh hysterically. Some of the revelations that we're having in this book so far, I don't want to spoil anything, so I'm not going to talk about them, but the revelations, even in the first 10% of the book, are insane, and I feel like I'm learning so much already. I do think that the point of views from Ethan and Flynn and Deck, I feel like those are a little boring right now. I do not like what's going on with Tharian right now, but I do like Ari. I like that Bryce keeps referring to the Astery as intergalactic aliens, and then she talked about their intergalactic garden. That's hysterical to me. So let's get to reading again. my favorite character in these books, and I especially love his cat form. But yeah, he just appeared with his brother Apollyon in the books, and I am obsessed with them. Oh, there's so many good things going on. I feel like there's gonna be so many questions answered in this book, but I feel like there's more and more questions that are popping up, so I'm really excited to see where this goes. I'm on page 100 now, which is 13%. I am feeling better about Hunt, but I still don't know if he's endgame with Bryce. Right now, I am on page, let me see, 249. I'm almost to part 2. I am such a slow reader, especially when it comes to gigantic, chunky books. And with everything that's going on with Bryce right now, there was so much information. Now, this is a spoiler-free video, and I will be doing a spoiler-filled review, I guess, so I can actually talk about things that happen in the book, but I kind of wanted to do the reading vlog where anybody can watch, even if they haven't read any of the Crescent City books. So right now, how I'm feeling about this book is kind of, there's a lot of information. I'm not the biggest fan of Bryce. I'm a huge fan of Lydia right now, and everything is just making me extremely nervous. There's not much of an update other than that, so let's get back to some more reading. Update. So I updated you guys last when I was around page like 300. Now I'm on almost page 600. It's been a few days, so I've read a lot. I'm trying to keep this as spoiler free as possible. It's just really hard with this book since it's the third in the series and we're learning so much. The first thing I wanted to talk about was I can't believe all of the things that Bryce is learning about the Starborn Fae. That's absolutely crazy. You guys will know the entire scene with Silene was insane. Can't really say much more than that. The story really did pick up after Bryce left the place that she was. Sorry, I'm trying to keep this spoiler free. It's so hard. Yeah, basically Bryce was somewhere else. But the story picked up when she got back. Lydia is a badass. I love her so much. I think she might be my favorite character in this so far. The way she helps certain people escape a certain place is really awesome, and I love that everyone's coming together. Ethan, the way his story's going, I love it and I hate it. I feel like he's too much of a baby for me, but I really like where he is and how they brought Hypaxia back into the story. And then the place that Bryce returned from, where she was, she came back home, and the place that she landed was crazy. And then you find out at the end of all of that that she like orchestrated that, which she's amazing. I don't know how she thinks that far ahead. The ending of chapter 35 absolutely freaked me out. If you read it, you know what happens. A certain character possibly dies, and I literally was in bed screaming, waking my husband up, and I was like, what do you mean? What do you mean? What you find out about Lydia when she's on the depth charger, that was also mind-blowing. I did not see that coming. I knew we found something out about her, but the fact that it was that was actually crazy. And we got to see more of her, like, I guess, background. So it kind of made her a more complete character for me. So I'm really liking what's going on with her. Oh, and then what happens with Sigrid and Ethan in the first place, and then what happens with Sigrid the second time when something bad happens with her, that was crazy. I did not see that coming. That was completely out of left field. I hate Evelyn. I hate King Morven. I don't like that they wind up there, but I know they have to. And then everything that goes down when they're there. Bryce is so smart. I love that she just follows her starlight. I love that whole concept that she has the starlight and that she's a starborn princess. And then where they follow her starlight in there, and then when they finally get to visit Hell, that's just amazing. I told you guys that I love Adis, I love Apollyon. I knew they were good. And then at that point, we get to figure out who Hunt's dad is, which I had been speculating about that for a while, and my husband and I were talking about it, and it kind of wound up being semi-close to what we thought. But yeah, that was just, Hunt was so surprised, and I was so surprised. It's crazy. And then everything we learn in Hell about Thea's starlight and like the 3 pieces of the star, I thought that was really awesome too. Okay, so I am up to chapter 64 now, and things are happening on Avalon. I don't want to say, but good things are happening. I don't really know where the rest of this story is going. I know that like the whole goal is to defeat the Astery, but I don't know if that's gonna happen. I kind of like heard from people that the ending of this book is like not a cliffhanger, and that it ends where there could be a 4th book, or it could just, this series could be done. So I have no idea where this is going. I am hoping to finish this book today. It is a snow day where I am right now, and it's the day before Valentine's Day. So I'm just literally chilling home, vibing to some like fairy ambiance, and it's so bright and snowy out right now. I've been drinking tea all day. I'm gonna make a coffee. I had one this morning, but I'm gonna make another one. Yeah, the plan for the rest of the day is to make some heart-shaped pizzas with my husband and to continue reading this book until I'm hopefully done. It says that I have 10 hours left in the book, but I'm really hoping I can read it faster than that. I think I have less than 300 pages. Hold on. Okay, I have 266 pages left. Oh, I really need to finish this book. It's been like 2 weeks since it came out, and I am the world's slowest reader. You guys will like begin to understand that. It takes me forever to get through books, especially fantasy books, because I'm the type of reader that sits there and has to understand every single word until I'm done. So, and I'll go back and reread things because I feel like I need to remember every single detail about what I'm reading. So yeah, it's a downfall. But I'm really hoping I can finish this today so I can finish editing this video and have this video out by Thursday for you guys. That's the goal. House of Flame and Shadow this morning, so I wanted to give you my kind of overall thoughts on the entire book. This is going to be a spoiler filled part, so if you have not read the book, if you have not read Crescent City 1 or Crescent City 2, then please do not watch this part of the video if you don't want to be spoiled. Feel free to click off. I'm not going to be offended. Totally cool. But I just wanted to give you my overall thoughts with spoilers because it's kind of hard to talk about this book without giving spoilers because there are so many things that happened that are based off of characters we already know, places we already know, and things that are from previous books. What I first wanted to touch upon is the kind of like overall structure and pacing of the book. The first part of the book, the drop, it was like extremely painstakingly slow paced for me. I feel like there was so much info that was dumped on us, and it was kind of like almost like reading a textbook, and then that information just kept getting like reiterated throughout the entire book. So it was kind of like, here's all of this information, now I'm going to tell you about it 6 more times from like 6 different people. So I didn't love that. I didn't hate it because I'm a kind of person that needs that background information like over and over again, but I just thought it was super repetitive. After about 300 pages, I'd say, the pacing got a lot better for me, and I was able to like probably move through the book a lot faster, and I was able to actually like build up that suspense and like keep myself going that way. The multiple point of view is something that SJM does throughout this entire Crescent City series, so I was used to it, but there were really abrupt point of view changes. She would switch point of views like a couple of like even paragraphs throughout like a chapter, and then she would switch back, and then she would switch to someone else, and then to someone else. Like, I love her multiple point of views, and I love that we don't just get like, oh, specifically first person from this character, then this character, then this character. Like, we get like that third person limited, so we get like an overarching viewpoint, so we can see many people's point of views instead of just like dual point of view or something like that. Now I want to get into more character specifics slash like world specifics and kind of get into more of like the spoilery part of this video. So obviously, if you read House of Sky and Breath, you know that it ends by Bryce landing in Prithian, which is the world from the ACOTAR series. And personally, as some of you may know, that is my favorite series. So I was really pumped to read that last scene because I was like, I know it's them, I know where she is, even if she doesn't know where she is, I do. I feel like I don't love the way it was done in this book because I guess the ACOTAR characters didn't really act like they would act in their own books. So that kind of threw me off. Like, I feel like they just seemed kind of nasty in this. And I get that they were dealing with somebody that could possibly cause harm or war or damage after like all they've been through, but still something just didn't sit right with me there. It focused a lot on Nesta and Azriel, which are two, I guess, like less talked about characters in the ACOTAR world, so I thought that was interesting. I didn't think Bryce's time there with them really added any substance to the story. The only thing that was substantial that came out of that was her learning everything about Thea and Peleus and Helena and Silene. So we just kind of got like the background of the Starborn Fae and more of like the actual legitimate lore and the actual accounts of what happened. But I felt like there was a lot of unnecessary time spent in the caves, and I don't know, it was just really boring to me. Like, she kept seeing the carvings, but then like everything that was in the carvings was like explained by Silene, so like, I don't know, I think it could have gone a little faster. So I guess moving onward with Bryce, I guess in this first part, I thought she was being bratty. I thought she was being reckless, and I just didn't love what was going on with her, I guess. And I didn't really like how abruptly like she just like yeeted out of Prithian. Like, she like was like, oh my god, how do I get home, how do I get home? And then all of a sudden she's like, oh, let me just dip and like let me just go home. Like, it felt super rushed to me in that aspect. I feel like a lot of Bryce's storyline with this was just like conniving people out of information and then like getting these absurdly gigantic power sources and power-ups. Just kind of, I feel like she figured everything out way too easily. Like, there was no struggle for her. Like, everything just seemed to like click into place, and like that was it. I did like the fact that, you know, Bryce was always told. I did like the fact that Bryce was getting this power that was like inherently hers and like was inherited from these like really cool female ancestors, and that, you know, she had to find the pieces of her missing star and that she was working really hard towards everything. But I feel like a lot of her development happened off screen, off page, so we didn't see a lot of that happening. We just saw her coming to the conclusions instead of like actually sitting there, like, you know, thinking it out, like how she did in House of Sky and Breath and House of Earth and Blood when she was trying to figure out everything that, you know, was going on with Danica. Like, it was more of a mystery. I think Lydia carried this entire book. I absolutely adored that the book started on her point of view, and I loved that, you know, her and Rune actually, like, their relationship struggled. It wasn't just like super easy for them, and I love Lydia's scheming and I love her planning. Like, the fact that she like had to go down to Everthis, Fire Sprite Queen. She had to go and she had to test her first, and then she had to get the power from Regalis to get rid of the crystal ball around her. Like, there were just so many small tiny details that went into Lydia's planning that make her such like a fully formed character, even in the beginning. Even though we don't know much about her, we just know she's a rebel and that she was the Hind, and she is the Hind, obviously. I felt that the escape from the dungeons wasn't like silly to me. It actually like made sense. It was so well thought out by Lydia. You know, the guys were actually hurt. They didn't have an easy time. Lydia had to almost sacrifice herself. When I read that page that said Lydia Servos was shot in the heart and she fell and she was dead, I was like screaming, crying. It was the middle of the night and I woke my husband up and I was like, Lydia's dead? She's dead? And he was like, keep reading. And then obviously they brought her back, but that was just absolutely insane to me. And then I guess moving on to Therion's character in the beginning, I thought he was whiny and grovelly and snivelly, and I didn't love him in the beginning. And then I love Therion. Like, I know people don't like him, but I love him so much. And in this book, he just was like, oh, I was given a bad hand. I was given a bad hand. Everything's my fault. Everything's my fault. But like, he just needed to like realize that his friends loved him and wanted the best for him. So that one got me. And then Ethan, I've never really liked Ethan, and his storyline in the first part of this book with Sigrid and trying to figure out what to do with the wolves and then killing Sigrid and then trying to resurrect her, I just feel like something was missing for me. I didn't love it. Hunt, I actually liked him more in this book than I did in the first one. Again, I felt like he was also a very like whiny male. You know, he was just like, everything's my fault, everything's my fault. And Bryce was like, no, it's not. We decided this together. It's okay. Like, I know he went through a lot and he has like trauma from the first time he tried to rebel against the Astery. I know that there's that pain there, but like, I feel like he needed to like realize how strong his partner is and like all these friends and people that he has around him and realize that like it's different this time. I really liked all of the background we got on Lydia. Obviously we found out that she has 2 sons on the depth charger, and then that kind of took us in this complete full-blown character arc of Lydia where we go through her background with her abusive father. We go through her being in Sandriel's Triari. We go through her, you know, being with Pollux and having to give up her sons. And then her and Rune's relationship only grow from that. And I just feel like her and Rune have the best relationship and have the best character development arcs in the book. And I really loved who they, you know, turned out to be, I guess, in the end, and who they are together. Jessica, to me, is one of the coolest characters, and she was one of the most mysterious in the first book, and then we didn't see her in the second book, I don't think, like barely. Like, she talked to Bryce on the phone a few times, that was it. And I thought it was really cool to figure out that she was actually a priestess at the Library of Parthos, and I thought that brought her story completely around, because it's like, why did she love her artifacts and books so much? And like, it's because she was a human and that is what they valued. When Hypaxia came into the story, that's when things got really good, because I love Hypaxia. I think she is one of the coolest female characters in this series. She's so smart, which I love, and I love that she loves science. So when she comes to raise Sigrid, and then she tries and succeeds at making that antidote, which I will talk about later because that is really cool. And then she just becomes the head of the House of Flame and Shadow. Like, how much cooler can she get? Now I'll go into talking about the antidote, because I think that was so cool. The revelation that there is a parasite that makes them participate in the drop was really interesting, and I think it was a good plot device to drive the characters to all have these massive power-ups that were actually explained. And it also allowed them to, like I said, have these power-ups to then more effectively fight the Astery. So it's not like they just magically got these powers somehow. I also don't think that the antidote was overused. A lot of them broke and only a few of them wound up taking the actual antidote. So I thought it was really cool, and probably my favorite character that used it was Lydia, because she literally just turned into a ball of fire, which was pretty awesome. Now I guess we'll talk a little bit about the Princes of Hell. You all know that they're my favorite. When Bryce and Hunt went to go to Hell, I have always known that the Princes of Hell were good. I never suspected anything bad from them. I just think they're these little beans that live in a dark place and hate the Astery. That's all. And I thought the revelations about Hunt and where he came from and his father were really cool. I think it's awesome that he's a Prince of Hell and was made by Thanatos and Napoleon. It explains a lot, and then that also tied into the Thunderbirds, and I think it's just another level of Bryce and Hunt's relationship that he was technically made for her. So I thought that was really awesome. And then when the Princes of Hell marched through the Northern Rift, I think the descriptions of their creatures were like the coolest things ever. And then when they were battling the Astery and they were not in their humanoid form anymore, that was also really amazing. I thought those were just little touches of detail that like added to like how different they really were from everyone else. Another thing I wanted to talk about is the Underking just dying, like super easy. He's supposed to be like this really, you know, badass, cool guy that basically eats souls and controls death, and then Ethan just freezes him and hypaxia shatters him. It made no sense to me. But I guess it was just to show that he was just a regular dude that came from the shifter world and that snuck in with them and then kind of wove this story with the Astery to trick the people into giving up their souls basically for the Astery and for the Underking to eat. So it makes sense, but it was also just kind of like, what? He's dead? Like he just died like that? I really like that Hypaxia took over. I think if there is a next book, that will be a major player in the next book, and I really think that she'll kind of not turn the house around, but I'm hoping she will make it a little better, a little more friendly if she can, and that those creatures will be more prevalent in the next books because there are some really cool creatures that do live in that house. I thought it was very sad and very surprising that Bryce opened the Northern Rift to Prythian and then pushed her parents through. And I did not know what she was gonna use the mask for, but I thought it was really cool that she used the mask to raise the fallen and take their souls within their wings and use them in those big mech suits. That was like probably the coolest thing in the book to me, and it was also one of the most emotional because that was their dream. That was the dream of the fallen. That is what they were working towards, and they all did not get to see it, but in the end they did get to see it through this. So I thought that was a really cool thing that happened. Now I'm going to preface this with, I did not cry throughout this entire book. I did not think that anything sad really happened. The only two people that really died in the beginning were the Autumn King and King Morven and the two twins, the murder twins, and they were horrible, horrible people, so it didn't make me sad. It made me feel cathartic for Rune that he got to kill his father finally, and all the other ones were kind of just like, eh. I thought it was beautiful though that, you know, Avalon got super luscious and beautiful and full of magic when Bryce freed it, and then Sathya and Flynn could use their magic, and it was just gorgeous that like there were trees sprouting and like all these bushes, and it was just gorgeous. It was very good imagery that was, you know, seen in that scene. I did not like the ending of this book. I like that everybody got their happy ending. Normally I am enthralled and I love SJM's last 200 pages. We all know that there's so many things going on. It's all chaos. Everybody's running around separate. But I just did not love the ending of this book. I think that they got through everything too easily. There were not enough struggles and there were not enough things that stopped them from their ultimate goal. And I think that when there was a problem, it was too quickly solved. It just felt very fake and pushy and pushed through to me. And then when Bryce finally shot the core of First Light and the black hole started opening, I thought it was cool yet confusing that she opened her own black hole and then the asteroid got sucked in. But, you know, she was floating around with Regalis, and then all of a sudden Hunt was like, oh my god, I gotta go get her. And I was just like, how are you gonna go get her? And then all of a sudden Shahar just shows up in her big mech suit, and like, how does he know it's her? I don't know. I know it was meant for like sentimental value, like I was your love once, you lost me, I'm gonna help you save your love. But it was just weird. Like, he jumps in the mech suit, he jumps in the black hole, somehow gets her, somehow uses the mask to not die, and then as he's getting her, Shahar sacrifices herself, and so do the other Fallen, and then the black hole's closing because Bryce is dead, and somehow Apollyon and Adis are holding open the black hole, and then everyone starts holding open the black hole, and then Hunt like shoots lightning that somehow stays, and Apollyon pulls him back up, and it was just very weird. Like, it felt super campy and super forced to me. I was just like, nothing is following the logic of the rules in the book. Like it almost felt like there was no rhyme or reason. Like, it was just like, oh, she's in this horrible, horrible situation. Instead of adding something dramatic to this book, let's just fix everything. Like, I'm a person that likes a little bit of heart wrench in a book. Like, I don't love when everything goes perfectly because I feel like it doesn't make a good story. And this to me was just like weird. I don't know, it just felt very weird. I was kind of just reading it and I was like, what? And then, you know, he pulls her out and she's dead. And, you know, we get our typical SJM, oh my god, she's dead, she's dead. And then all of a sudden, Hypaxia is like, wait, but she can be saved. And it's just like, oh, Jessica's gonna do a little swippy swap. And like, it doesn't make sense. Like, that has never happened in any of the books. That has never been established that it can happen. It almost felt like a workaround. Like, it was just like, oops, our main character is dead. Let's just quickly fix it. But I really like that Jessica showed how much she cared about Bryce, and that she went and said, you know, go back, go live your life. I've lived a long life. That made me tear up. And then when Bryce saw Danica and the Pack of Devils and Lahaba, that made me tear up. I almost cried with that one. It was just so emotional, and she got to see that the people she loved are living out this beautiful, peaceful life together, and that, you know, good things will come in the end. I don't know, a part of me wanted a super main character to die. I know that sounds horrible, but, you know, I need that gut punch. I need those high stakes, and I just felt like I was going throughout this entire book and I was like, she's not gonna kill off a main character. They're all fine. If they're in a death situation, somehow they're gonna be saved because that's what happens. So it was almost like fairy tale-esque and not quite like that hardcore real life fantasy that a lot of us like, that create those what ifs and create those high stakes. I kind of wanted the ending to be, you know, Bryce sacrifices herself, Hunt sacrifices himself with her, and they die together as one last huge act to save everyone they love, because that's just them. But I am happy that all of the characters are alive and well. I will miss Jessica. I loved her so much. I thought it was also really sweet that she left everything to Bryce, because it does mean so much to her. And then as a final act, as the Queen of the Fae, Bryce dismantles their entire government, and I just like that she stays so rebellious and true to herself and doesn't let that power get to her head. So overall, Bryce is a really great, well-rounded character. Even though I didn't love what she did in this book, I still love her. I do love her and Hunt together, but their relationship doesn't feel as real and fleshed out as Rune and Lydia's does. Like, I feel Rune and Lydia's love, but I don't feel Bryce and Hunt's love. Like, it just feels surface level to me a little bit. So overall, it's your typical wild, amazing SJM book. I gave it 5 stars because I don't know another book that I could sit down and read 400 pages in one day. And these characters and these worlds and everything just means so much to me. And in the end, I really did love this book. And everything she makes is so cool and unique. If you have read this book, please let me know what you thought of it in the comments. Please keep the comments spoiler free to respect everyone that is watching this video that has not read the book yet and that has not read anything in the Crescent City or even Sarah J. Maas world. Thank you for watching my video. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye! Bye.